Hey love, and welcome to the Luv MEESH Podcast. It's a billion podcasts to listen to, and the universe guided you right here to this one. It's 8 billion people in the world, yet you met me, and that is not by happen chance. This is a divine meeting, and may we guide each other well. I am in this world, but I'm not of it. On this podcast, you'll hear topics about both worlds, spiritual and earthly. My goal is to keep learning, evolving, and spreading love. And welcome to the Luv MEESH Podcast. You are hearing the amazing waves from the Jacksonville beach. I finally made it to the beach. If you know anything about Jacksonville, Florida, then you are aware that it's either raining or sunshine. Every time I would get ready to come to the beach, it would be 50%, 60%, 70%, 80% chance of rain. I'm like, oh my God. I remember one day I was driving down here and the sky was gloomy, and I'm like, well, sometimes, the weather could be off, because I do remember coming to the beach one time and they were saying it was going to rain, and it totally did not. So I was hoping that would happen again, but no. I kept driving here. I kept seeing the clouds. And it rained right when I got to the beach, and I was so upset. So I was finally able to make it to the beach today. There's just something rejuvenating and vitalizing about the beach. To me, my mind, my body, my soul. Something about putting my feet on the sand, which if you know me, I'm always barefoot regardless. But something about the sand, maybe it's the earth-salt connection, maybe it's the water-earth connection mixed in with the salt. But I just love the beach, and my grandmother always says when things are troubling you, always bring it to the beach. Now, in my spiritual community, we know that salt can banish evil spirits. It can be a form of protection, etc. So I know there's a lot to do with the water, the earth, and the amount of salt that's here. And maybe it's just the 3 elements combined: earth, water, air. And if you were to do a fire, then you'd have all of them, because you are spirit. But I digress. I made it to the beach. Oh my God. And it is so hot, and I am soaking up the amazing sun rays, because I am a child of the sun. I love the sun. I love the sun. No matter how much I sweat, which is inevitable, I still love the sun. So it's been a hell of a long time since my last podcast. I think I was back in February. I attempted to do one in April on spiritual gifts, but I just did not get back around to it. But it is on the agenda. It is on the to-do list. Your girl is a full-time realtor, and it is scary as hell. Waiting for commissions to come in, which I have 10 of them lined up, by the way, from rentals. I have 2 buyers in the works, a potential seller in the works, and yeah, I'm excited. I took that leap of faith, and here I am. I'm also thankful that I'm able to use my notary career. Thanks a million to Miss Nicole Johnson. She held a notary class and taught me about different ways that I can make income with my notary stamp, and one of them is being an inspector. So they'll tell me what address to go to. I'll take a couple pictures of the home, and they'll cash out me right away. It reminds me of Uber. So, you can sit on the clock for 8 hours a day and make 100 and something for that day. You can also take 5 pictures and make that. So my prayer to God was, God, yes, I need money on this plane of existence, but I want to utilize my time. If I want to go to the beach, I want to have the freedom to do that. If I want to take a 4-hour lunch, I want to have the freedom to do that. If it's not a good day and I just want to lay in bed and take a mental health day, I want to be able to do that without asking someone for permission. It's giving slavery. I just hated everything about corporate America. So hopefully things will continue to go well, and I will not have to tap back into it. But hey, at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do, right? I'm also in the process of getting a home built, so I'm super, super excited about that. And I am going to pursue my PhD. So somebody sent me an email, and it was like, Dr. Jackson, Jamisha Jackson. I'm like, what? And then I keep seeing these doctor posts, and I'm like, oh my God, let me go ahead and finish this degree. So the school that I got my master's from was Liberty University, and I was looking on there to see if they had anything real estate related, and they did. I could get a PhD in real estate development, which I do want my own tiny home community. So please send your prayers up for me. I would love to have my own tiny home community on each side of town, even modular homes, different rental properties. The sky's the limit. So hopefully the Lord will see that through for me. So I was like, yeah, let's get a degree in that. And then the admissions counselor was like, well, there's so many prerequisites that you have to have, because they had a bachelor's in real estate, they had a master's in real estate and a PhD, and I would have to go back and catch up. I would have the core classes already, because the core classes are the same, but I have to do the electives before I could even start the PhD. So he was like, well, since you already have master's in leadership, why not just finish in that? And I was like, okay. So I'm going to finish my PhD in leadership, which I'm super excited. I can't wait to do my dissertation. I have lots of ideas on what I would do that with. It could be the Native Americans here in America. It could be the war on whether we should have reparations or not. It could be the injustices in the real estate field, which are extremely racist, which I've seen firsthand. But we'll see. We'll see where universe guides me as far as that dissertation is concerned. I used to be so scared to do that, but now it's like I am so ready. I've also been thinking about if I should go part-time like at a library, just because I love to read and research. So I'll see where that journey takes me as well. Okay, so let's get to the nitty-gritty. So today's episode is going to be on mermaids. Do you believe in mermaids? Yes or no? Or maybe within my human experience, I'm coming up on 36, there are a lot of lies in the world. Things that we are told are fiction or false or fake are actually true, and they're being uncovered. And I didn't realize that until I started my academic research. They'll give you a topic, and you'll have to find periodic articles and reviews to support your argument. So it's almost like you're a lawyer. Like there is a question. Do you agree or disagree with it? Why or why not? And where's your supporting evidence? And I love that. That's so helpful to my train of thought, to my everyday life, to things that are going on. I think everybody should utilize those skills. Like, for example, the government told us to get COVID, the COVID shot. Do you agree or disagree? Where's your supporting evidence? Everybody literally just went out and got the shot. And I'm like, what? Where is your research? And I know everyone's in a different position. I know a lot of people are married. They have mortgages. There's a lot to lose. Companies were literally firing people. I almost lost my job. They kept saying, our governor even was like, well, you don't have to tell your boss if you're vaccinated. And I told them that, and my boss was going to tell me, well, I think the president would trump the mayor of Florida. And I'm like, you know what? What people failed to realize was America is unhealthy. There's sugar in everything. And a lot of people, you only see a few people running and walking and going to the gym. Like, we're just overweight. And some people will say it's genetics, which I disagree with the genetics part, but I agree that if your parents cook a certain thing, you'll learn to cook a certain thing, and that's kind of passed down. That's how I believe in it. Not so much, well, your mom was left-handed, so you're going to be left-handed. Because we know that those kind of things can change unless it's your hair color, your skin color, your eye. Like, certain things can be different. So I was like, okay. I remember doing like a research project in school when I was at the IRS, and I found out that one of my colleagues had cancer, and we were talking about like meat is considered a carcinogenous number 2, yet it's in the grocery stores with no label. People are literally feeding their kids things that could give them cancer. And I don't know, like the mindset that I have now is I'd rather not give you certain things to save your life and you may hate me than to have you grow up low self-esteem, unhealthy, different medical diagnosis, all because I wanted you to fit in or to have a snack. I don't know. It's just not mentally smart to me. But I know we all kind of think differently. So I had lived my whole life eating and doing whatever I wanted, and I was handed down pretty healthy genes because of my parents. And I only say that because my father was a football player, my mother ran track, so they were pretty athletic, and they had us. So we kind of got those genes, and what we decided to do with them were onto us. So my little sister has 3 kids. She, you wouldn't be able to tell. She looks the same as before she had them to me. And that's not the case for everyone. Now, it is hard working out. I don't like to run. My mother had knee surgery, so I don't even really agree with running. But I love a good walk. I love dance. They do these step things now where you can buy like a little step and you can dance around the step and just get your heart going. We have Planet Fitness here, which is like $9 a month. I'm about to sign back up. Because even I've slacked. I used to just do water and herbal tea, and now I'm doing sodas and sweet tea and cookies and chips. And I'm sitting here with a little Winnie the Pooh, and I'm like, where did this come from? So I already know what time it is. So I'm excited to get back to the roots, stick to the routine, right? Because it will sneak up on you, and then years later, doctors telling you there's different diagnoses, and you have to get all this weight up off of you, and it's like every spoon that you take is either leading to health or sickness. It's really that serious, but it's not promoted here in the Americas. But I remember the colleagues saying, we learned how to do this research and different stuff like that because we're in school. Like, before school, I didn't know about this, and I was like, I didn't either. But I am thankful that they challenged me. This is your question. Do you agree? Don't you agree? Why? And where's your supporting evidence? Because that's kind of how I am now. So, no, I don't agree with the COVID shot. Even before the COVID shot, I had done research on regular vaccines. And in fact, I think children get over 42 by the time they go to 5th grade, which is ridiculous. And they cause autism. And it's more prevalent in African American men, mind you, because those are our soldiers, our heroes, our leaders. So if you want to attack a culture, you can start with the men. And so, it's brilliant. And I wish we would go into science and biology a little bit more, because they're the ones that are giving us this stuff, and we don't have a clue. We have no clue. Like, I even heard that the Nazi scientists were not hung. Instead, they were brought to America. So what do you think? They did continue their research right over here. And again, it's the stuff that we don't really talk about. But let's bring it back to Ariel. So I do believe in mermaids. I do believe in so many things. I'm not going to cap my mind on the possibilities of things, because I know man itself is really, really powerful. And there's nothing that you can't do that you don't put your mind to. So if a scientist wanted to go in a lab and mix a human and a manatee and come up with a mermaid, I wouldn't be surprised. I strongly believe that movies are fact that were turned fiction because they had to change the names and maybe different parts of the movie or story just to protect themselves, which makes sense, because even some of the crime TV and stuff that you look at, they do reenactments, and they say the people and places, are not real, but the story, it was a real case. And so that's kind of how I see a lot of movies and different things like that. So that's what this podcast is going to be about, mermaids. Just kind of my thoughts, opinions, points of view, and hopefully it'll spark a good conversation for you as well. So if you guys have been on TikTok, which I love, I know they're trying to ban it just because it's unrestricted. When everybody else was saying miscommunication as far as COVID, TikTok didn't give a fuck. So that's why I love TikTok. And I know all governments use all social media for our harm. And it's not even an app that you download on your phone. Please, people, let's be realistic. It's the phone itself. You have your cards in there. You have your date of birth. You have your name. All the pictures you take. It's recording at all times. It can listen. It can take pictures. It can hear. Matter of fact, the TV is the same way. Everything works 2 ways. When they first invented the phone, and you can hear on one side and talk on the other side. They just had to figure out how to make it work both ways, and then later they did. So just remember, things work both ways. A radio broadcast, you can send out a signal, hello, someone's on the other side can receive it, whether they tell you they can or not. So same thing with TV. If it can broadcast a picture, don't you think it can transmute a picture as well? It can. So the little button that you turn on and off is actually a camera. Sometimes there's a little black section, and you can Google this. Please, you don't have to believe anything I say. I just love learning and researching, and you can believe what you want. Just Google it. Thank God we have a little computer in our hands at all times, so it's not hard to find things. But a news reporter, not TikTok, not Facebook, not a meme, a news reporter sat down with a television programmer, and he showed her on the TV, not computer screen, not phone, not cell phone, not iPad, but the TV screen, that he could see her. And he actually showed it live, and I was like, what the entire fuck? So sometimes I'll put a blanket on my TV. I don't care. I know they can look at all times. There's no telling what else they can see. I'm just glad I'm not like a mass criminal and they're just building evidence in a case upon me. So whatever they do see, I honestly don't care. What I feel that I'm sharing is the truth, and I stand behind it. So on TikTok, getting back to that, there was this guy that works on a boat, and he heard like a mermaid, and he recorded it, and it went viral. Do you know they blocked him? So you can TikTok that. And the second one, which it could have been computer generated or not, I'm not sure, but you can search TikTok a real mermaid, and it was this, I mean, that mermaid was not so pretty. It was a old scary fish female looking mermaid, definitely had the tail, and she was on a rock, and she turned around. You know what it reminded me of? The Crypt Keeper. I know I'm telling my age. So growing up, we used to watch like scary shows. I think it was like the Crypt, and it was just this horrendous old looking skeleton, and that's kind of how it reminded me of. So it had long white wet hair. It looked at pale purplish. It had a mermaid tail, and it turned around, and it would like screeched and like jump in the water. Like, what the fuck? So you can search that just to kind of see. And okay, and then the next clip I'm going to play is this guy that talks about mermaids. So I'm going to pause for a moment so you can hear that, and then I'll come back.
Mermaids and sirens. Are these names for different creatures, or are they all one and the same? Are there really people with fishtails instead of legs, or is that all made up? Where are these creatures mentioned, and in what sources? Well, today you're going to learn the answers to these questions and more, as well as many interesting things about the residents of the so-called underwater kingdom. So the first mention of mermaids can be found in ancient Indian writings that describe entire underwater cities of Danavis, creatures whose upper half is human with long, wild hair, and whose lower half has a long tail with scales that would shine in the sun. These creatures are called mermaids in ancient Europe. The forefather of the mermaids is considered to be the Babylonian god Oannes, also called Uana or Adapa. He would come out of the Red Sea every morning to teach people construction, medicine, craftsmanship, agriculture, and other skills. At sunset, Oannes would return to the sea every evening. The first fish-tailed goddess was Atargatis, the Syrian goddess of the moon and fishing. The cult of Atargatis was popular in Hierapolis, modern Manbij. The Roman historian Lucian described the goddess as half-woman who had a fishtail growing out of her thighs. Some Finnish coins have images of Atargatis, whose appearance is similar to that of a siren with a long fishtail. Now, several experts think that the Greek goddess of love, Aphrodite, born from the sea foam, as well as the Roman goddess Venus, come from Atargatis. Now, other famous ancient Greek philosophers like Plato, Herodotus, and Aristotle wrote about mysterious fish people with human intellect as well. Experts have proposed many theories about potential civilizations of intelligent merpeople that live on the seafloor. They didn't consider the existence of people with fishtails instead of legs as strange or made up, but as something entirely possible. Now, ancient Greek poet Homer wrote in the Odyssey about mermaids as sirens who tempted Odysseus with their singing. At first, mermaids were drawn more like large birds with a woman's head and long claws, but over time, the appearance of sirens changed. They were young, beautiful women who had a fishtail instead of long legs. There was a belief that a siren song could make sailors follow them. The sirens would then send the ships into coastal rocks, sinking them. So, sirens started being considered harbingers of death for sailors. Pharaohnaukas, Russian Slavic mermaids, were called half girl, half fish. According to legend, the Pharaoh's people who were sent to chase after the Jews freed by Moses in Egypt were drowned in the waters of the Black Sea. It says in Tales About Crossing the Black Sea from 1602 that Pharaoh's people turned into fish, and those fish had human heads, but not human bodies. There was just the head with human teeth and a human nose. They had fish scales instead of legs, and a fin instead of feet. Famous explorer and sailor Christopher Columbus wrote about mermaids playing in the waves personally. He thought they would wait for lonely sailors to distract them and drag them under the waves. The main visible difference of these creatures, and almost the only difference between them and people, according to Columbus, was the powerful pale green tail instead of human legs. There are talks among sailors of the unusual strength of mermaids who are able, despite their fragile and delicate appearance, to flip over unlucky boats, and about their luxurious, wild hair and wonderful voices that are simply to die for. So, in 1737, a story about a dead mermaid was published in the pages of the London magazine, Gentleman's Magazine. The creature was caught in a net and made human noises when it was brought up. When the dead body was examined, male traits were found. The question of whether or not merfolk were real or myth wasn't in play here. The preserved corpse could be seen for some time in an English museum. Now, the publication 2 years later also wrote horrifying messages about how sailors aboard the Halifax caught a mermaid and ate it. According to the sailors, the meat was soft and tender with the flavor and texture of veal. Fast forward later to 1881, a weekly publication in Boston informed its readers that a female corpse was found on the Atlantic coast. It looked exactly like a woman's body above the waist, but seemed to have a large fishtail lower down. There have also been sensational messages in modern times, like in 2012 in Uttar Pradesh, India, where a mermaid was found. According to the witnesses, it was a female child who had a red fishtail instead of legs. The child sat on the rocks and watched the waves. When it heard footsteps approaching, it got scared and jumped in the water. There are also similar frequent messages from Thailand, China, and India. These kinds of occurrences are also frequently reported from far off. There are also similar frequent messages from Thailand, China, and India. These kinds of occurrences are also frequently reported from the far-off corners of the world that are difficult to get to and double-check on their validity. So, is it possible that mermaids exist and hide from humans in their interest in the supernatural? Well, in 2014, a message came out of Mexico that a dead female body with a fishtail was found on the coast of Veracruz. Locals named the creature Ariel, of course. The story reads like a mystery. 2 men were relaxing on the beach who later found the terrifying find. The men called the local police who came to the site and immediately called a secretary service. Now, after some time, state police came to replace the local officers on the Veracruz coast. They spoke Spanish with strong American accents. According to one of the witnesses, they understood that the Americans were saying that the creature would be taken for.
Is your wife your biggest critic? Everything you do, no matter what it is, it's like she has a problem with it?
Further study in Area 51. That's where strange objects and aliens are kept. After the Americans took the discovery away, the local papers were told to write articles that the mermaid was just a dummy used in a film production. But what film was being made at the time? And why wouldn't the locals know anything about it? Another interesting question is, why was this object Ariel not found before in other coastal waters? So mermaids have been called water nymphs in Western countries for a very long time, and people believed that they would take men down into their underwater kingdom. As a rule, they waited for single old men and allured them with their wonderful appearance and songs to the water, where they would drag them under and drown them. They also believed that they drowned people who had swam in forbidden places or were in the water for too long. Mermaids were seen in the United Kingdom of Great Britain for many centuries. The biggest story was published by the British press in 1810. Several fishers from the island of Man heard a strange noise. Now, at first, they thought it was an injured animal or maybe a sick bird crying out. So they decided to try to help it and headed towards the sound. But what they saw next shocked them. It wasn't a bird or a beast. It was the body of a young woman with a fishtail. The body was seriously injured after a recent storm. The fishers decided to take the injured mermaid home to heal her. Now, according to their description, the mermaid was about 55 inches long and had a normal human body with a fishtail. Its long dark hair looked like seaweed. In Haida, formerly known as the Queen Charlotte Islands, locals found the remains of a strange creature that looked like a 59-inch long seal with a dolphin tail and a humanoid skull. Additionally, the creature had female genitals and an anal opening. The eyes were very human, but were also somehow like those of animals who live in the water with limited visibility at the same time. The skull had a bony comb. Now, we know that modern humans don't have this structure, but our ancestors and other ancient primates did have it. This creature was surrounded by the carcasses of dozens of whales that beached themselves. The mermaid's body was collected by the police secretly and operationally a few hours later. The discovery became absolutely trusted recently. So all mermaid discoveries were made in the paths of whale migration. The mammals beached themselves along with mermaids. Now, the main reason for these whale deaths is currently considered secret testing of sonar and sound weaponry by the US Navy. The weapons are designed to combat submarines and combat divers. Half of the remains of a mermaid fell into the hands of experts in South Africa in 2005. They decided to do DNA tests, first comparing the results with human DNA. But the South African police quickly gathered all the material. All the results were immediately handed over to the US Special Services, as it became known later. South Africa now only has copies of the recording on the mysterious mermaid. America also has images of mermaids. On April 4, 2004, off the coast of the Pacific Ocean in Washington, a live creature with a human head and fishtail was found. The military immediately took it to a secret Navy laboratory. The mermaid was able to live for 2 years in artificially made conditions. Now, recently, there have been approximately 7 discovered and captured mermaids in the US. They are all in special aquariums where they are being carefully studied. This was said at a conference in Tahiti with 65 experts present from various countries. The location of the mermaid aquarium is secret. But there is information that former President Obama himself personally visited the secret place and was extremely surprised by what he saw. Professor of biology from the National Institute of Ocean and Atmospheric Research in the US, John Selznick, confirms that mermaids live in secret, which is why they have survived so long. Well, it's up for you to decide if mermaids exist or not, but that's all for today. Leave us a like if you learned something new. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe too while you have a chance, and we'll see you again next time.
So this is the part that get me. 7 captured mermaids in the U.S. and we don't hear this on the news. I'm quite confused. And instead of Disney World, why don't we have places to see this instead of some really, believe it or not, place? And one was able to live for 2 years. I'm pretty sure they were testing on the poor thing until it died. So yeah, I strongly believe that mermaids are real. I think our government doesn't just fight wars, that they're into things like this too. Like they said, the Navy. A lot of Navy people are secretive. They know not to say things. And sometimes when a lot of people leave, they'll like go and live in a cabin in the woods. And it's like, what do they know that we don't? To where they don't even want to be a part of society. It's kind of freaky. And they're just so top secret. They're always traumatized, PTSD and all this stuff. It's like, my God, what do you guys do to those people? know they probably know the phones are tapped and so the moment you try to tell someone, you'll mysteriously commit suicide or disappear or die, whichever way they decide to do it. But at this point, they've already said that aliens are real. There was just one spotted in Las Vegas, so I don't really know what any of the secrecy is about. Like, it is out. Everything has been exposed. They're even letting us read classified top secret documents now, and people still don't believe. So I blame it on the fluoride. This tap water is filled with fluoride. It's bad for your brain cells. It makes you submissive and docile. It's in toothpaste now. There's no telling what else is in. So if you can invest in a good water filter, water machine, that would be a good investment for yourself and your family. I know I want to get into one. I actually just bought some Keurig water. I just dropped some off to my sister. And those machines are pretty expensive, but usually the best things in life are, right? Yeah, mermaids are real, and the Navy people would know best, right? So mermaids. Mermaids symbolize, I found this, I love Pinterest. So Pinterest, if you type in anything on Pinterest, it'll bring up visuals of just different documents that you can research. So it says, the prefix mer comes from the Old English word near, meaning sea. These creatures of the deep have some human qualities, most commonly human torsos, but have marine qualities like fish tails, which embody the mystery, beauty, and changeable nature of the sea. Mermaids symbolize water, femininity, independence, rebellion, temptation, seduction, and transformation. I might have to turn this one around. Okay, so Mero. Most Mero, despite their fear associated with them by sailors, are actually benign creatures. They are often seen following ships out of curiosity. So we're going to get into the mermaid next, because that's exactly how it started. Their songs are similar to those of whales, yet on a higher octave. Capable of learning human language, Mero can be known to befriend humans, especially women, since they are the most visually similar and visit them often. Males of these beings are greatly different in appearance. Humans would consider them ugly, with their jaw lined with sharp shark-like teeth and sharper features. These creatures are known as mermaids, are found worldwide. Unlike the Europe colder climate cousins, such as the female in the illustration, mermaids in the more tropical climates tend to be like the most violent individuals in legends and will even prey on humans. The violent varieties are often called sirens. Typically, varieties also have more fish-like tails as opposed to the leaf-shaped fins of the northern species. Mero usually live on diets of fish and aquatic plant life. Now, when I look at the human hand, it is webbed. So are we mixed? Are we like a mixed species? Because a lot of the god tales say how we were made and how there were scientists and how they would splice genes and DNA and stuff. So I really wouldn't be surprised. So, mermaid knowledge. 11 amazing facts about mermaids. Let me make this one bigger. The earliest mermaid legends come from Syria, dating back to 10,000 BC. Atargatis from Syria is the original mermaid. Legend has it she dove into a lake to become a fish, but only her bottom half was transformed. Sea cows. Manatees were often mistaken for mermaids. sea cows are large animals that were often mistaken by sailors out at sea. Christopher Columbus was reported to have seen ugly and fat mermaids. Mermaids have 4 main superpowers. The 4 powers of the mermaids are immortality, seeing the future, telepathy, and hypnosis. There are 4 main types of mermaids: traditional mermaids, which are sea-dwelling only mermaids; Irish shedding mermaids, they can shed their tail and walk on land; shapeshifters, they can change to human form when required; merfolk, human-looking mermaids that live on the land and sea. Many other variations have been described in ancient texts and folklore. Aquamarine is from mermaid tears. It is believed that this ocean gemstone is made from the tears of mermaid. The word mermaid means women of the sea. In Old English, mermaid, mer means sea and maid means woman. Wow, mermaid. A mermaid kiss gives you gills. According to ancient folklore, a kiss from a mermaid gives the ability to breathe underwater. Mermen came first. The merman Babylonia, a god Onans, was around 7,000 years old before Artargus. Mermaids don't have a great singing voice. Traditionally, mermaids don't have a great singing voice. Sirens were the original singing merfolk. The most expensive mermaid tail cost over 10,000 pounds. The hydrodramatic tail, which weighs 35 pounds, is owned by Lyndon Wolbert, 32, from Los Angeles, who travels the world as a full-time professional mermaid. The color of the mermaid's tail depicts her mood. The color of the mermaid is a clear sign of the mood of the mermaid. It reflects the mermaid's personality. The difference between mermaid and siren. Mermaids have normal teeth, tall, they're non-predatory, water creatures, friendly, naive, colorful, not allowed to talk to sirens, and they can do any kind of magic. Sirens have sharp teeth, predatory, water creatures, they're dangerous, insidious, usually green, not allowed to leave the deep parts of the sea. They dwell in dark magic. They're manipulative. As far as their singing, they have sharp gills and they're very flirty. Bonus says the mermaid siren hybrid, which is rare. Mermaid with predatory tail, mermaid with dark magic, siren with non-predatory tail, and siren with dark magic. I thought that was pretty interesting. The facts about the mermaid. I myself love water. I can stay in the shower forever, but because of the fluoride, I've started to limit myself. 15 minutes is good, but I know some people change their water systems in their home to salt water, which is amazing. There are some homes in St. Augustine, Nocatee area called Beach Walk, and they have a sea salt pool, and it is huge. I took a video of it. It's on my Instagram, on my realtor's page. So I was able to go see The Little Mermaid with my best friend, my best friend's little sister and mom. And I just felt like a happy little girl. I remember looking at Disney movies, but I don't have any kids, so I don't really kind of go back to them. But I want to. I just want to start looking at cartoons more. And just going back and seeing what lessons I get out of them now. But I know when I have my kids, we are going to dominate we're going to have so many movie dates, it's going to be ridiculous. So I was able to see The Little Mermaid, and it was amazing. I'm actually going to try to sing a clip of it. I won't bore you with the whole song, but I'll add a clip of it. Make sure that you're creative every day, whether it's drawing, whether it's knitting a blanket, whether it's painting, whether it's cooking, hair, makeup, creativity is something that you can do, that you do with your little spin on it. Like, everybody can do makeup, but we all do it differently. Everybody can cook, but we all do it differently. Just make sure you're using your creativity energy every day, in as many ways as you can as time permits. I know we have these daily duties and roles, but I created a new picture for my podcast, and I had so much fun doing it. So that's how I like to recreate, with pictures and collages and different things like that. And I did a new intro outro, so I like doing that. I like social media because I can create content. I'm so thankful for Canva because they give me, instead of a blank canvas, they give me a starter canvas, and I can turn it into whatever I want to turn it into. So I love that. So I don't think I'm an original creator, like a blank canvas. My best friend is, and she's amazing with it. But I can take an idea and I can twist the hell out of it. So that's just like my little gift. But yeah, make sure you tap into your creativity every day. So it had been a while since I'd done that, and writing is another form of creativity that I'm going to get back into and make sure I publish my books, because oh my gosh, they're just sitting in the computer and it's ridiculous. I am working on getting a new laptop, so I know that will help, because a lot of the things are in my OneNote, and I have such an old Mac that it won't let me download the new version of the OneNote, and so when I try to click on some of the files, they won't come up. So I'm praying that when I get my new laptop, they'll come up, or I have lost so much data and I don't even want to think about it. So yeah, Little Mermaid was freaking amazing. I'm gonna let you guys hear a clip of me singing, but before that, a lot of racist opinions were coming out about the Little Mermaid, and it really upset my heart. Like, you know, as an African American growing up, all you see on TV is Caucasians everywhere. I don't even want to get started on it. Does not, you know, I know Hispanics have their own channels, and I know I used to work at AT&T, which was Singler, which was Dish, which was like, you know, we would sell different packages, like the Latino package and the this package and that. So I know there's different packages that you can get that will showcase your culture, more shows and stuff that you may like in your native tongue, and there's all different ones that you can think of. This is back when there was satellite TV, so now we have cable. I don't know if they really do it like that, but the point is, TV is universal now, so shows should be universal. There shouldn't be a show that I can click on that doesn't have every single race. If they can throw LGBT blah, 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 into every show, including kids shows, even Sesame fucking Street, okay, then they can diversify every single channel, every single show, every single movie. But I'm just African, so I'm going to talk from the African point of view. So I literally told my mom, like, growing up, you was looking at MASH and Cheers and whatever else, and it was just white people. Like, you weren't offended. Like, you were just looking at white people all day. Like, that just does something to me. Like, it's bad enough to learn that one day your people were kings and chiefs and queens and having their own, you know, heritage and rulership, and then boats just crashed on the beach, tried to befriend you, tricked you, diseased you, enslaved you, and God knows what else. And nobody really wants to talk about that. We're trying to take the books out of the school and everything. And now it's like you're just dominating TV. And it's, I mean, if you're going to dominate TV, let's just go back and tell the truth and just dominate that way. Let's just put it all out there. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the real movies and documentaries to come out that really express what it is, because all of this Disney fairy tale BS, I am so over it. So this one guy, he made a very valid point. He was saying, like, basically, stop being racist. It's a freaking Disney show, and you still have the original that you can watch, so let her shine, and she did a great job. Now, I can understand, which is, if it was, oh well, I can understand if Ariel was rapping and it just transformed to this whole, you know, black ghetto production, but it was not. It was very true to the original form, so I didn't really understand, like, the commentary. Like, I would love to see everything Disney in my culture. I wouldn't be mad. All of the stories. Let's go on and change it. But instead of doing it that way, I think if they just put everybody in every show, there wouldn't be a need for that, because you would see a representation of yourself already and everything that's created. So I wish they would have went far as diversity is concerned and forced that into everywhere, like they're doing for the LGBTQ plus community. Which I have nothing against. Love who you want, be who you want to be with. I just feel like they should let the kids live. If you have to be 18, to smoke and 21 to drink, then there should be an age limit on changing your sex organs. Because if you wake up one day and realize it's a mistake, like, what the fuck are you gonna do? Like, that's drastic. So yeah, do your hair, do your makeup, do your nails, whatever, but just save the major stuff for when you're really an adult and you can make those decisions. Because do you know the brain doesn't fully develop, in men especially, until 25? So under 25, tread lightly, because your brain isn't really even developed to be making adult decisions, because you're 18 and your brain doesn't finish until 25. So whoever came up with that was dumb as hell. Should be 25. Your brain is fully developed. But I'm going to pause for a moment so that you can hear his commentary about The Little Mermaid.
Here's why Halle Bailey as Ariel is fantastic and you're just racist. So off the bat, mermaids aren't real. Folklore, a mermaid is an aquatic creature with the head and upper body of a female human and the tail of a fish. They appear in folklore from Europe, Asia, and Africa. But because a lot of you keep trying to bring up the source material, here is where the source material of mermaids comes from, the Mediterranean Sea. As you can see, we have Asia, Europe, and Africa, which means that a mermaid could be literally any skin color, but I get it. Atlantica is in Denmark. Fun fact, moron, Denmark has black people. Did you know that? Also, H.C. Andersen's original text, which the original movie is based off of, didn't actually clarify anywhere that Ariel was white. He just said that her skin was as clear and delicate as a rose leaf. I'd personally want to know Halle Bailey's skincare routine because she looks great. But like, her hair isn't as red as the cartoon, and her eyes aren't as blue as the sea. But guess what? Shut up. Does that serve the story? No. This just in. Breaking news. The skin color of Ariel serves absolutely nothing to the plot of The Little Mermaid. And that brings us to the next stupid fucking point that racists keep bringing up. What if the roles were reversed? What if Mulan was white? What if Princess Tiana was white? You're dense. Mulan. Chinese. Based on the traditional Chinese poem, The Ballad of Mulan. In this story and movie adaptation, her ethnicity has literally everything to do with the story of everything. It is set in China. Mulan is Chinese. Tiana is based off of Chef Leah Chase, a real person. This movie is also entirely rooted in the fact that she is a black woman in 1920s New Orleans. The social commentary there that you might find upon rewatching it is that she's not taken seriously because not only is she a woman in poverty, but she's also black. So what's the difference between those aforementioned characters and Ariel from The Little Mermaid? I say again, Ariel's race contributes fucking nothing. The story isn't changing. The original cartoon isn't going to cease to exist once this movie comes out. You have your Ariel. It's nostalgic for you. Stop being racist and let young black girls grow up with that same nostalgia. Why don't they just make an original character then? Maybe they don't fucking want to. I don't really condone all these remakes, but whether you watch it or not is up to you. Here's why Halle Bailey as Ariel is...
So that was it for today's episode. Don't forget to answer the question, do you believe in mermaids? Yes, no, or maybe. Also, have you seen the new Little Mermaid with Halle Bailey? If you haven't, I would say grab your nearest daughter, niece, bestie, and go have a look. It was really a good show. It's definitely worth seeing. And she just really did Disney well. Like, if you could look at the interview of her the producers were crying. And in the interview, they started crying. Her voice was so angelic. So the part was already hers, little did she know. So I will catch you guys on the next episode. I'll try to tap into the spiritual gifts, in which one of them is Reiki. I am Reiki 1 certified. I can't wait to take 2 and 3. I do have 2 books on it that I can recommend. If you grew up in a Christian church, we are already familiar with this. We lay hands. It's just something that we should tap into a little bit more. Anything that you exercise or work at more and more and more is only going to get stronger and more powerful. So I will catch you guys on the next episode. Talk to you guys later. Bye. Namaste, Lovaste, and always vibe high, babe. Thanks a million for listening. I hope you have a better than great day. I love you. Talk to you later. Bye.